In front, Steel City looms on the outside, and Cigar Flick. Three of them across the track. Learning to Fly coming back on Steel City. Learning to Fly heads off Steel City. Learning to Fly too strong in the Witten Stakes.
Welcome to Bet Doctor, behind the curtain look at how pro punters operate. I'm your host Scoot. I'm in the sunny Gold Coast, the hot, humid sunny Gold Coast with John Walter, who looks a bit vitamin D deficient, I'm told.
You just stole my line.
Yeah.
I was sitting there thinking about that. Yeah, apparently I am vitamin D deficient, so we're in the sunny state. What is it they call it? Used to call it the sunny place for shady people, but apparently living in the shade too much still, regardless. But anyway, what can you do? At least we're honest, law-abiding citizens. That's all I can say.
It definitely are. What's going on down in Melbourne town? DK back from the cruise. Tell you what, you're looking good.
No vitamin D deficiency down here. So, Walt, go on a cruise, that's what you do. No vitamin D deficiency there. Be something for you to do. But, yep, Scoot, back in the land of the living off the cruise, mate. So that was big, very big. Cruising's big tip for anyone out there. I'll give a lot of tips on the show. There's another one. Tipping cruising big. So, no, it was fat.
I don't know if I share that sentiment. My old girl was up here a couple of weeks ago and she went on a cruise. Someone shouted at her and her partner a cruise. And on the last day, someone carked it. And then they were stuck on the ship for 4 hours. They missed their connecting flights back to Melbourne. So she was absolutely potting it. Was there a bit of scenery there, DK? Like, what's the appeal for us, a punter?
Oh, it's for everyone. But scenery, yeah, didn't have to worry about getting off at Port Vila in Vanuatu or Noumea in New Caledonia for the scenery. Tell you what, the scenery was just... What do I say? 10 out of 10 on the boat. What's that, Nico? What's that Group 1 fillies and mares at the end of the carnival? The matron or what is it? The
Maya Classic.
Maya Classic.
Oh, Empire Rose. Empire Rose, they call it now.
Is it the Empire Rose? Yeah. Well, you could have run dead set. You're sitting by the pool there, you could have run 8 divisions of that and still had the ballot. Like it was just Group 1 activity everywhere. So that's an appeal for that way. But families and they've got this thing called the Cplex, which is upstairs for all the kids. Like this massive indoor stadium. So they get there in June, you're straight in the basketball courts, the basketball rings are down, they run basketball things. Then at night time, the roller skates or they put the Dodgem cars on there, they inflate the laser tag. They had the parachuting thing, what's that called, the iFly. Oh, mate, and on them, let alone food and drink. We had 3 hours, 4:30 till 7:30 every day, open bar as part of our package. So that set up the nights nicely. And then into the grouse restaurants, like it's just pool time, it's just tipping it big, mate. No, blowing someone. They've got a mortuary on board, Scoot. There's no dramas if someone carks it. Like someone nearly always carks it on the cruise. They're all oldies, and some of them's the last thing they want to do, and they die on the ship. There was an alpha at 4:45 a.m. outside our room, but they've got the morgue on board, mate. They just put them on ice and wait till you get home and get the bloke to pick them up. No dramas there, mate. All sweet.
Morgue on board.
Part of life. It's like a floating city, mate.
Morgue on board.
Floating city. Yeah, got a morgue. They got a morgue. A morgue, whatever it is, the mortuary, the ice boxes they put them in or whatever. Yeah, it's a floating city, mate. It's just like a functioning 5,000 guests, 1,500 staff. It's huge.
Do they need a new mayor, the floating city? You're the man for the job.
Hey, DK, when you say it's Group 1 talent, what vintage are we talking? Is it like Group 1 look into a broodmare paddock, or is there a good array of talent? Because we've got a young audience out there.
Yeah, no. This was what are we at? January, so it's holiday time for most people on holidays in January. So it was, it was
all sorts.
All sorts. Yeah, all sorts. But mate, there's a lot of young people on board. I'm not talking young. I'm not talking kids or anything. I'm talking, in the right bracket there. But but if you it wouldn't happen if you went on one from now on. If you went in February, all the oldies, the pensioners, everyone's back at school, everyone's back at work. So you've got to pick your mark there. Got to go on the right time for the scenery to be. That good, so very, very hard to beat. And I got the tip. I watched the video on the ballot because I won the ballot on Ovation of the Seas maiden voyage to Australia back in 2017. So I went in the belly flop competition. Cheryl talked me into it and I won. But then I watched a video. Someone put up a video of the most recent Ovation of the Seas belly flop competition on Facebook, and there was just blokes, just Group 1 performers, the biggest beer bellies and all that jumping in there making huge splashes. So I didn't enter this one, and then I just watched our one, and the one on our Quantum of the Seas was just as high as group class. I would have run tailed off last in that one, so I retired. I knew my level there. I retired undefeated on the belly flop.
Nico, you're with us also. Spirit of Tasmania, that'd pull you up, just a trip over to the Apple Eye, or would you take the missus on a cruise? Is that your go? Your age group?
I think we might be going on a cruise later this year.
Oh.
A few of my mates are sort of talking about it, and maybe we'll follow DK's lead and head on the one he went on. Sounded all right.
And the other racing, mate. Who'd I find on there straight away? Jay Maskill. He knows Jay Maskill. He the jockeys. He actually hurt himself. He's right. He couldn't go on the cruise, but Jay Maskill was on there, so I caught up with him most days and had a beer and whatnot. But good man, Jay Maskill. So I'll follow him when he gets back. Yeah, but no, Nico, you'll love it if you go, mate. You'll love
Tipping it strong, yeah.
Especially with a group of mates like that, nightclubs and stuff, mate. They got everything, mate. Bands and parties. It's just young people just have a ball.
Outstanding. Good to have you back, DK. And speaking of jockeys, let's we threw out a little bit of a poll on Little Birdie on our Twitter account, and we said, should jockeys be allowed to bet on horse racing in Australia? And it came back 47.4% no, so 52.6% say yes, and there was a couple of little variations to the yes because it's not a black and white thing. 11% said yes, open slather. 16 said yes if they're not riding in the race, and then 25% said yes if they're riding that horse. So interesting. So it's nearly 50-50 split. So would it solve a lot of problems? Maybe. I think my opinion would probably be the more things are open and I guess tracked and being able to be monitored by, I guess, the powers that be, I think it'd be better for the market. There'd be more turnover and there'd be less sort of grey areas because at the moment it wouldn't be hard to skirt around those sort of laws. But I tell you what, just quickly, Reece White come up with an absolute corker that I didn't see coming down on the bottom of the screen there. He actually said they should be allowed to bet with each other and they should also carry one weapon of choice throughout the race. I didn't see this one coming, so I think my weapon of choice, one of those medieval bomby knockers I reckon I'd take. So it's a big stick with the the chain and the big prickly ball.
No, you need the one, so like it's the whip, and then when you do that or something, like the nightsticks that come out or something, and then you crack, so it's a more portable. I don't know about the bomby knocker. It might be hard with the balance sort of to get there. You'd sort of want more of a cattle prod or something like that because.
So what do you think they should be allowed to bet?
I think without saying, I think the poll that I would like to throw out is what percentage of people think jockeys are betting already anyway.
100%.
Yeah, and like what is the percentage that jockeys are whether it's however they're doing it. Like you say, the people that are skirting I would say most people would be of the opinion that are fairly involved in racing that a lot of it's going on anyway. So either police it better. Actually, really hammer them for breaking the rules that are there, or open it up. I don't know if it's working the way it is. It's a bit grey, but it's just so much grey. This change of tactics, and we're going to talk about that, I guess, as well. I think today it's just they're too grey, and there's different rules for everyone, different punishments for everyone, different levels of everything, and it's just there seems to be a set of rules for one, not for the other, throughout the entire industry, and I think. It's right through it from betting. Do I think they should be able to bet? No.
Okay. DK?
Yeah, I'm a no. No, it just opened up too big a can of worms for mine. But what I am liking, Nico, is something along similar line, not the betting lines, is what they've done with the jockey bonus or whatever you call it that's attached to this Future Stars series at Pakenham. So there's a $50,000 pot for the jockeys with the most points at the end of this series, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what they can do is they can pull a power play and double their points if they hit the target. So first meeting, there's a real nice one there. Everyone wanted to back Shamey, whatever it was called. Cliff Brown, B. Mertens pulled the trigger. He said, that's my power play. Bang, pissed him. The second meeting, that marble, that thing that went like a Learjet from New Zealand, D. Stackhouse, said, That's my power play. I'll double points on it. Boom. Pissed him, heavily backed. So I might need some sort of something like that where they're all hungry for $1, the jocks, So where there's someone, where there's a point system where, because if you see a jock doing that, it gives you more confidence. If you want to, on that, if you're going to have a bet, so geez, he pulled the player play on this, or he's basically having his own on it to get a crack at that $50,000. 35,000 first prize or
Well,
30 grand.
there's full intent there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like as much as there would be anyway, but you chuck that in on top. I'm sure anyone's going to try a bit harder. Aren't
So
they?
whether
That's just
they've
human nature.
all the race clubs have got bookie sponsors. Whether the bookie throws up, a race meeting, $5 grand for the race meeting, the jocks have a pool of them. They can pull a power play or Saturdays, or it needs a lot of cooking. But I do like that idea. And you see the jock pull the power play, and you say, ooh, because that horse from New Zealand, there was a bit of a query on it, wasn't it? So he's a bit green, and Stackhouse had obviously ridden at work or something. He's like, this guy's good.
Yeah.
And I think it went like a Learjet. So anyway, what do you?
Before I get your answer, Nico, what you've just said then, DK, and I had no idea about anything that you've just been speaking about for the last 60 seconds. But to me, that's betting. That is gambling. That is 100%.
So it's
betting.
literally the same thing. It's like them saying we've had 1,000 on it, whatever.
Well,
exactly.
they're
Without
playing
the
their
financial.
bonus. It's a free bet.
Yeah,
it's a free hit.
Well, it's like them tipping to someone and saying, "Yeah, that's right." It's the same thing. It's like it's not the same thing because it doesn't break the rules, but it's exactly the same thing to me as messaging the butcher or the bloody baker or the candlestick maker,
100%.
and with something attached if they're correct potentially.
Yeah, there's a lot reward for getting it right. Nico, thoughts on that and thoughts on the whole issue?
I'm probably not totally against some betting, but I think it just have to be policed very well, and I don't think we're at the stage where we can do that. Given there's probably a few more issues in racing that go under the radar anyway. So I think the power play thing is, if you're someone looking to back one of those horses, you'd definitely be happy to see that your jockey's playing that power play, isn't it? But I think it'd be prevalent now. Come late in the season, if Stackhouse has another ride or something, he doesn't use it, you'd be thinking, "Oh, what's going on here?" But he's already used it, so there's probably got to be some system where you can track it or something like that. But they're good races. Those new maidens are packing them, aren't they? They're getting all the big jocks out there for the big money, obviously, and any sort of horse that's jumped out well or trial stars, they're all heading to those maidens. So it's good viewing.
I dead set reckon that a big key to me, like, so you at the moment, the biggest winner from prize money increases is jockeys. Trainers probably secondary, but it's the distribution is like heavy on only a few races, whereas jockeys week in, week out are the ones, if they put prize money up 10%, literally their pay goes up 10%. So they're also paid, quite well per ride, which I don't disagree with because it's a very dangerous sport. How you balance that, but also factor in a much stronger performance-based payment structure. So like at the moment, a jockey in New South Wales anywhere, say they're getting 200 a ride, they ride 20 races a week, they run last in every one of them, they've made 4,000 for the week less expenses. To me, that's too much if you are not performing. So a lot of jockeys to me don't put in the work and prepare for rides week in, week out where they're riding too much because they're getting paid too much to not perform. Yeah. So, anyone, the guy who's last on the premiership ladder is getting paid the same as James McDonald to ride the horse. Obviously, he's making more money because he's performing better in bigger races, but there's no incentive for the sort of middle of the tier to try and get the most out of every ride every day because they're getting paid too much for not having to worry about it. Yeah, if they're cruising, whether they're riding too much as well, I think there's a number of factors, but to me, I think that's a bigger issue than being them allowed to bet or not.
Jocks though, Walton. I want to be good mates with a jock and everything. And mate, they want to ride. From what I see, they get the shits when they don't ride well or lose races and stuff like that. They soak it up, and because they're sweating and stuff, they're doing it a bit tough anyway. And I think they're just desperate to get results, and make them feel good and up and about, and rather like that, rather than just whacking away. There might be a segment of that, maybe older guys who run their race and just whacking away for. I remember D. Tootle got interviewed one day and he just, and I didn't say he wasn't, but he just said, "I'm just going around. I've had my time and I'm just picking up rides here and there and just making an earn, I just as a natural, they're and then they get paid that performance by getting the share of the prize money.
I think, if you can concentrate on Saturday at Randwick, I think there'd only be, say, if there's, an average of 10 jockeys, there'd be 2 or 3 that are probably in the category that aren't, preparing as well as they could be. I think it's more, for me, country provincial, where the depth of riding is probably not as strong, but they're still getting paid really well to not perform. And, the horses aren't great. They need a bit more help. It's probably metropolitan isn't where I'd concentrate. And I don't want to pick on any sort of segment of jockeys in particular. It just seems to me like it could be there's room for innovation there with a new structure that sort of, like you say, something like what they're doing there. I'm not sure, like the power plays and things, I think add a bit of grey, but the points and bonuses in that way gives them an extra incentive to ride every horse to their maximum, which is what I feel they're not doing at the moment.
Especially when, you can see it a lot of the time and horses don't, get ridden out properly. And I think there's a valid point there for sure. Let's skip along. And another issue that sort of popped up, and I think punters and a few different news or journalist sort of sites have covered this one, and it was the Niffler ride on last Saturday up in Sydney. So you can talk about this one, but we'll roll the replay. And I guess it's been alleged that Niffler was used as a pacemaker for Bold Mac. So you've got Niffler in the purple and white, you've got Majorati on the outside, and then you've got J-Mac on Bold Mac with the white blaze just sort of mowing them down. So we missed the start of the race, but this is the first time Niffler's ever led. He got dug out. It was 1,200 to 1,500 metres.
Second up.
Second up. I've seen a lot worse from... general.
He didn't set a world record speed. I think that, to me, the combination of the two is what frustrates me more than anything. So you've got Bold Mac, no change of tactics. It's been in the first 3, its last 4 starts, something like that. To me, it feels like, without any allegation, James is aware that there's going to be a little bit more pressure than it looks there to be on paper. On paper, there's one leader. Would you have thought that Niffler could possibly cross Boldardi and lead it? Did he go too fast? Probably not. Like they weren't going crazy, but he definitely had to urge him heavily to get there. He was out of his comfort zone, the horse. It's arguable whether it helped or hindered his performance overall. Would he have finished any closer? Niffler himself, I'm not sure, but it feels like to me that James rode Bold Mac back
more
an extra pair or two.
Yeah.
The horse hasn't been really finishing off that well up on speed, so I think they've done the right thing with the horse riding it that way, but it's just smelly when both horses are ridden differently.
The wrong way around.
Yeah, and it was very similar with Thalassophile on the same day, whereas no change of tactic there. That horse has settled in the back 10% of every field that's ever been in. All of a sudden, he's up outside leader early, settles in the 1-1. The stablemate's up front, making sure that the tempo's nice and even for him too. And that's just what it feels like. So I understand any frustration. Do I think there was anything crazily wrong with that race? Absolutely not. But it's the feel. It's got a bit of the castle about it. It's just feels wrong. It's the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like when the weather's 13 degrees, but it feels like it's 8.
And so what do you do as a punter? Do you then, there's 4 Waller horses in. Do you start to now factor, add bonuses to James's horses, thinking that there's 4 horses in there, the other 2 or 3 are going to be ridden to advantage for James's horse? I don't know. That's all we care about. We don't care what they really do at the end of the day. We just want to be able to try and predict it, and that's what can be frustrating at times, because there's no way in the world I could have mapped before the change of tactics Niffler in front of Bold Mac, and Niffler second up, as you said, 12 to 1,500, wide gate. What does Waller normally do? Ultra conservative. He's going to go back on that horse, or, he might try and slot in. If he doesn't, he's going to go back. He's definitely not going to push it to the front. So, and I understand there was a change of tactics.
And that's the thing. So you've got betting open from, say, Wednesday for a Saturday race, and racing's dining on wagering revenue. And so there's all these people betting into the races in the dark, which is, I guess part of the game.
Part of betting early market.
Yeah.
Right.
So Wednesday through to Saturday, and then all of a sudden, the tactics change. And historically, like, the widest gate, Waller always goes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can see how it's sour grapes for a lot of punters, but I've seen a lot worse, and nothing's been done about that either. So
yeah, and there was one yesterday that, again, I wasn't involved, that Hollywood Hero, and I think it was 250, which looked tight anyway at the start of betting. James McDonald ran okay the other day, sort of PR'd 3 back the fence at Canterbury, got to the line nicely. Yesterday it draws the outside gate. James McDonald stays on again. You're waiting for a change of tactic, because that's what you're conditioned to now, thinking, okay, well, if it's not, there's no change of tactic, it's going to go back. All of a sudden, this horse is 250 to 180.
Yep.
Where's it going? It's not going to be dragged out the back last, is it? But there was no change of tactic. It sat outside the leader and got beat. But it's frustrating, because again, there's no consistency, and then that's all we can ask for is consistency, so that we can set up the race with consistency to bet, and that's all we want to do. We don't really care at the end of the day what games anyone plays. That's not for us to really worry about. That's the steward's job. We just want everyone to play the game consistently, so we can come up with an answer that's somewhat determinable before the race and not have to look back on it and go, oh, God, well, it's easy now. But
And then what happened? What was that funny one? Was it yesterday, Walt? Did you say there's a field of 7 and 6?
oh, did you like that one? So there's
Yeah,
there's one leader on paper with blinkers off, right? So again, and it's David Payne blinkers off. So everyone's looking at the race going, oh, okay, well, there's outside leaders up for grabs, 7 runners, 5 of the other 6 put in change of tactic to be ridden more forward. And then I saw JP sort of dropped his out because he drew wide and he was, I think, the first person to put the change of tactics in. He drops his out because, of course, there's a line of 5 across the track after 400 metres. And JP drops his out the last and now they're questioning him, what were you doing? There was a change of tactics. He nearly got arrested.
Jesus.
So,
you're damned if you do.
Well, the problem is too, what is a change of tactics? Is a change of tactics what you or I think it is, or is it a change of tactics to that steward's map? Because their map is diabolical.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So they don't get called in.
Yeah, that's it. So
It's just the whole thing's stupid. The whole change of tactics thing just needs to be abolished. Why would any team go out there and tell exactly what you're going to do? It should be a complete mystery to everyone.
I agree, because then it's up to us to make a decision and nothing can be wrong. We can't have a leg to stand on from an argument. So if you looked at that race, probably not Waller and Niffler because of the draws and things, but it would make sense to me if Waller's got 4 in a race, 3 of them are advantaged by a bit of speed, one's drawn wide, of course it's going to press forward, or one of them is, and I don't see any problem with that. It's just the change of tactics and the consistency about how it's all upheld and managed is the problem.
Sorry, it's just I'd say that's the thing up there with the speed map paranoia with the stewards and everything and Wallers and all that, because you've had what, 5 in a race there. I reckon it's settled right down in Victoria. We're lucky to get 5 a week now, aren't we? They're just not really bad. And they call it, they're either the stewards implementing common sense and the trainers are just doing the right thing. So,
and I don't think we have the same sort of thing where it's, you got 4 runners from the same stable in one race. Like we don't really cop that much down here either. No. So it's probably not a big issue here as it is up north.
I like that Niffler race. If it came out, there was no change of tactics, to me, I don't think anyone would have any issue with it. No. They might whinge for a couple of seconds because Avdallah pushed on and beat and crossed Majorati, but then you look at the sections and go, well, hang on, he was going pretty much even time. Play on.
All right, let's push on because we could be here all day. Let's find you a winner. The first winner is the Comics Lounge in Melbourne. They're the home of comedy, North Melbourne, Errol Street. Make sure you check them out. Nothing better than a giggle or a serious racing show, but we like to have a bit of a laugh outside of racing. On today's show, we've got Donnie. No good last week, but I tell you what, he's 3 straight in the syndicate, and he's got a shorty that he thinks is immoral on Saturday at Eagle Farm. Walt was on fire. The Joe Pride love affair continues for our man Walt. Maramia was a lovely bet, and he also was on learning to fly.
He's gone to the dark side now. He's being interviewed by the Den today, so I'll probably get warned off there. He won't talk to me anymore, Joe. We were just cementing our love affair too. We've just come back. We've got the South's partnership, and now we were starting to bond on hating certain jockeys. So it was it was starting to flower.
We did ask Joe on the show this week, but he declined because he was on Wolf Den.
Mate, well, we don't have. They've just got the pulling power. Pulling power. What did they have on the other? Mark Reed.
We're a punter show. We're not a trainer show.
I don't know. DK will probably watch it. I haven't seen the Mark Reed episode. It's actually one I'd be interested in because he doesn't get much airtime these days, Mark Reed.
You know what's funny? Mark Reed tells a story. Oh yeah, I had 300k on one. Blah blah blah. Mate, you get odds to 2,000 every bookie these days. Cool.
That was the heydays in the 80s. They were the dead set heydays.
Imagine if Mark Reed had to back one to win with 2,000 with Sportsbet now. It'd be $3 into $1.60 in about 43 milliseconds. Good luck getting your other 48 bets on or whatever you want to try and do.
Mate, he got one of the getting close or whatever. He got the whole, because he's John Elliott, who's his brother-in-law, whatever, tied up with the Strathmore. He's president of the Strathmore Footy Club. Put the whole Strathmore Footy Club on the plane to Sydney, put them all in the betting ring, gave them all $3,000 each. And when this is in the days when there's 50 bookies, 60 bookies and that, and said, away you go. And just get, when they went getting closer, it was hundreds to nothing and won. That's the sort of stuff they did in those days. Imagine, they're great stories. That's why they've got to be told, because it's just so far, the poor you young blokes are just so far removed. That's why I love going out with Gary Robertson, though, because he just tells these stories, Smurns and these, Zulsrab and all these things in the 80s, which were just proper bookies and not, plungers and everything. It was just huge betting. It was enormous.
Even when I was 18, 19, which is, Jesus Christ, it's 20 years ago, it doesn't feel like 3 minutes. I used to, one guy used to use me to bet for him every now and then, and it was, 6-figure amounts every time, and I had no trouble getting it on in cash, and they weren't hundreds in. They were sort of, $5-6 chances, but you could do it. And it just, it's embarrassing when people bitch at you. The world's changed, but far out. Like, it should be for the better. Everything's gotten bigger, but we're shrinking. How does it make sense?
Someone out there wants us to bet less. Might be the government. Nico Noonan, you return on your Mounting Yard mail for this Saturday, so $25 a week, and you get a saving if you buy in bulk. So a lot of people back and lay horses from your service, so outstanding stuff.
They lay his morals or back his...
No, the other way around.
Oh, the other way around,
If
sorry.
the favourite's not the numbers, or it's sweated up, or...
What does he say? What's his main go-to? The ones that just win? What is his launch? Is it the launch?
The launch.
Launching.
Yeah.
Launches are so profitable. Can't wait for the launches to come back.
Could be a day for Saturday for a few launches. There's a few short price favourites in there that if they parade well, you could be definitely getting around. So I think Saturday's a really good program to kick it back off for the punters, and then next week see a 4-day. So it's all heating up here in Melbourne, even though it's still bloody freezing outside though.
Is it?
You see the trials. I've been away and just watching those Geelong and Creamer and sets of trials. Oh shit, the good horses are just around the corner from Regina.
Yeah, Geelong had heaps of good horses out there, but big time coming ahead.
Nico's going to look at Sandown. I'm going to have a quick look at Eagle Farm. Looks like a good betting day there. And make sure you're betting with TopSport. They're family-owned and operated. They're Aussie as well. They got the new mobile site. You can same race multi. You can do everything and more there. So make sure you head to topsport.com.au. Tristan is dying for you guys to have a bet with him. So open an account and support the Aussie bookies. Nico, Sandown. Let's have a quick look at your first one. It's race 6. It's the Graham Archibald Girdwood Classic over 1,300 metres with Daytona Bay favourite. I think I know this bloke, Gags. He's got his Bucks Day there, so I think I've done well with the name, the naming of the race there. So absolute pisser. He's locked away. Daytona Bay $2.45 favourite here for G Descent $4. He's exceptional $9.50. William Thomas $9.50. Crestani $13. Morrissey $13, and that'll round us out. Better the rest. Daytona's a horse you like. Here's a replay 2 starts ago. Tell us why you like it.
Yeah, this is him in the nose roll, sort of looming up to the lead here. This is a strong race. There's been plenty of winners out of this. Jimmy the Bears coming off his back. Shove Overs, the horse in the green, running into the race. Gawa, My Yankee Girl, Rhea Yuki. So there's form plenty out of this race. And he makes him look kind of second rate here. He just pulls away from him late. I think this is a pretty smart horse. He sort of raced through the grades last preparation. First up went at Pakenham, and then he was unlucky. Probably not to go very close to beating Cardinal Gem. Then he won this race, and he won again at Sandown with a apprentice jockey on a heavy track. All his runs last preparation were on soft tracks, but with a bit of rain around here in Melbourne, we could be on maybe a 5 on Saturday. Gets a very soft run from the Matt Barrier 2. Jay Carr on first up, signals intent, and I thought the jump out where they really pushed him along, he sort of wasn't too far off Maliva, I think Western Empire, and then he beat home He's Handsome. So it was a pretty strong field for a jump out, and he was marked urgent there. He was really pushed along late in the finish, so I think he'd be pretty fit for this first up. Not surprised at all to see the markets come with him. He was sort of 280 yesterday into 245. I think it's just a bit of a free hit for him first up. He gets a lovely run, and he's only got to beat Vegeta Sand, who, bar one run last prep, was a bit disappointing. He ran second in the stud to Tijuana, and then everything else he was kind of pretty flat out. He did jump out well, but I don't know if he's loaded with talent, and I think Daytona Bay's much better than this grade and could be a potential stakes class horse. So I thought he was probably one on Saturday. You could play in your multis or even have a good crack at it, 250.
Just a strong, he's just that horse. He's got the map and he's strong. So he's got typical Moody, that hard to get past on pacer.
Well, you look at his last run, if you go back and watch the replay, that always happy heads him and he kicks back and beats it with the 3 kilo climbing apprentice on his weaker in the finish, and he still kicked back and beat the other horse. So he's got a big will to win, and
he's strong.
J. Carr, Moody, I doubt he's going to drift, but he's a horse I'm very interested in on Saturday.
Going to be very hard to get past him.
Just love to own a horse like Daytona Bay, and
for sure.
What's that other horse? Gentleman Roy that won last Thursday. They just love it. They just make their own luck, and they're just absolutely bomb-proof, those horses. Race 9 at Sandown is the next one. It's the Catnack Jewelers handicap. So you see $4.40, $5 St Lawrence, River Plate $5.50, Glory Days $6, San Fabrizio $13. 3 and 4 pence, $15, and the horse you like here, Nico, is Glory Days. Amar Eustace, pretty quiet time at Warrnambool. It's in the red and black, way out the back, widest here, making a searching run.
Yeah, well, he settled last year, and it was never ever probably going to be in the race or 1400 metres first up, but the market didn't care. He still started $3.10 favourite and charged the line here. He sort of hit a bit of a flat spot between the 4 and the 2, but 2 of the posts, he's the quickest of the race, 8th fastest of the day on a pretty strong day there, Warrnambool, and he was just sort of all over the place there a bit. He gets Mark Zahra going aboard here and he gets the blinkers going on for the first time just to probably help him stop laying in. The blinkers on with the Mar Eustace combination when they go on for the first time. Profit and turnover 37%, win strike rate 24%. So highly profitable there, and a horse who has world-class form overseas. He ran second to Stone Age in an Irish Derby trial, and then that horse, I think, started favourite in the Epsom Derby. So behind Huya Mile and Co, and then ran third in the Belmont Derby. So he was kind of gapped by that horse, beat him by 5 lengths, but this is a horse with a lot of talent. Jumped out really well leading to this prep. I've taken a bit longer early. I sort of took a bit at $8, but I still think $6. The market's going to be telling here. If he's 6 out to 8, you might not want to be with him. If he's 6 into 5 or 480, where there's smoke, there's probably fire there with the blinkers on and Mark Zahra going on. I just thought it was a very interesting race. You got St. Lawrence, who's absolutely flying. He's unbeaten here in Australia. He looks a progressive horse, and then So You See. Probably found somewhere near her best last start with that win, but she did only beat mares, and the format of that race has been very iffy with Dane on Tour and Liberated Girl sort of failing since River Plate had the biggest PR you'll ever see last start at Sandown, finding the front, going slow, no one to take him on. So Glory Days, I think, is the best horse in this race. Whether he's here ready to fire second up, not too sure, but the market first up suggested they got a big figure for him overseas. They didn't want to put the drift on him, did they? So he's got a lot of talent, this horse.
Did you take any notice of what time they ran at Warrnambool? Did you? The supposed track record?
Broke the track record, did they?
Well, supposedly, and I'll bring Wald in on this one. I mean, this is one where it just, this is someone that's good, and we've got a mate, he does the form, and he alerts me to it. It doesn't look right, and it doesn't all make sense. It's not right, So if you believe the raw time there, they ran a track record. There was no margins, and then the winner. I mean, the models and that didn't believe it. The winner next start ran 50s, right? And if you believe the raw time and the rating and everything, that's a track record. So just be aware of that sort of stuff. 6 horses have had a run in that race and all regressed. So I'm not saying your bloke will, because he was there. He was the one getting home, just trucking home.
He was the line fighter.
But and there's just, if it doesn't, you can fall into the data, right? The data. You just generally if they run time and they run track records, there'll be margins. There'll be 3 lengths by 3 lengths. There's 2 lengths first to 5th and stuff like that. So it's either because they've got a tailwind on the day or the rail or something, or conditions or something like that is one of the reasons. You just got to be very careful of that supposed when they go too fast and stuff like that.
Well, that's probably good for him first up, given they did go fast on punting form, to the class of the 600. It says fast on here, 2.5 lengths above. So, but I think that's probably a positive for him, given he was the strongest late, probably needed the hit out compared to a lot of them, and he was still taking significant ground off him, still runs the 8th fastest last 200 of the meeting.
He was the run of the race. Yeah. But it was just interesting, the winner off the supposed big figure, then went to Moonee Valley and ran 50s, So just got to be careful.
The thing that just interests me, if I see John Allen riding that horse at Warrnambool, and then I notice John Allen's riding St. Lawrence, and then Mark Zahra gets the ride on this horse. What does that mean, Nico?
Well, John's rode St. Lawrence his last 2 to win, and I just would have thought maybe with the connections of St. Lawrence, you probably wouldn't want to jump off one of Aussies, would you? So I saw Yonce jump out the other day, and she went like an absolute rocket.
Did she?
Out. Straight to the front, run by about 4. So I know Johnny's the go-to for her. So maybe he's just trying to stay in with the right sort of connections.
Yeah. I'd say
but yeah, I think Zaharon's a good sign anyway. Like, it's not like they're going to one of the other riders.
Didn't you say they're throwing shades on it as well?
Shades on.
Oh.
Like, there's a lot of ticks there for him. If he runs up to his best, I think he's going to be right in the finish for us, and he goes up to 1,700, which is a big tick. So Michael will be telling, if he's 6 out to 10s, well, it's probably not his day, but if he's 6 into 480, well, I think we want to be on.
Barrier 3, coffin.
He'd be midfield needing a bit of luck, but we're on the hillside, so he'll probably find it.
Mr. Walter, you're scribbling things.
No, just going back to DK's what he was those times, like keeping it very simple. If your eyes like something and the data backs it up, it doesn't get any better than that. If your eyes like something and the data's a bit shady on it, I still think there's an edge for people like us who have an opinion on what we see, but obviously wary. If the times don't stack up, you just sort of want to probably amber light with a touch of positive. And if your eyes don't like it and the data says yes, that's the other way. I think it's sort of be wary of it, but more of a negative. Yeah, I think there's more advantage in being against positive data if your eyes don't like everything you've seen about the race, whether it's bunch margins, the horse, had every chance, was, one pace, didn't hit, whatever it is. So I think, yeah.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah, I think eyes is still the biggest positive over the market comfortably.
You can get both, so you can use your eyes and you can use puntingform.com.au. They're the best form guide in the business. They've got a reskin. You can use old.puntingform.com.au if you still need to dig around and you're not quite ready to transition to the new bright colours. But make sure you check out puntingform.com.au and then you can watch it, then you can see the data and you can do exactly what Johnny's talking about. So
I think it's impossible nowadays to do it eyes alone, if that makes sense. And I think it's insanity to do it data alone. So that's just my opinion.
Need some sort of database or some little
you need as much help as you can get.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about Randwick. Rosehill last week, I already blown your trumpet there. 2 great bets. Complete fill if you followed JW's
Unless
set.
If you're a subscriber to Racing Watch who didn't formally back either horse and I got death threats over it.
Did you?
Oh, well, as you say, it's like Wednesdays to Saturdays. They weren't bad bets, but they were sort of borderline, both of them, by the time sort of prices had come in and whatever, and they both piss up and you play into another race on the day and have no luck, and all of a sudden, you're checking under the car for a car bomb. But that's the life we live. That's the lovely life of a racing information service.
Well, we do sort of cover the fluffy races and the Captain Obvious and the pretty exposed form and things like that. I think if you want to service, anyway, you're getting more.
Yeah. Well, that's like you try and spoon feed everything as much as you can, but also, people are taking positions on Wednesdays. Regardless, like I don't do much early tipping, as in formally with my service, but people are certainly paying attention to what we say and what other people say early, and they're forming positions and betting anyway, aren't they? So we are only trying to help. I'm
going to throw a name at you, and you tell me if it's a positive or negative. Tom Marquand, back. I said 3 words.
Yeah, he's what he is. He's all right. He's all right. I like to see how they come back, because if people start plugging him in as who he was 2 or 3 years ago, maybe they're underplaying him. Most likely they're overplaying him. So maybe he'll have a bit of J-Mac tax factor to him for the first couple of weeks, and whether that's justified. A bit like Willie Pike when he came here. He's obviously a very capable rider. He's shown he can do it here, but you still want to see them acclimatise and have that killer still in them, because you don't know. It's been a long time, 2 years since we've seen Tom.
So we've lost a Tom and gained a Tom. Which is the better Tom?
Which Tom? What have we
Tommy
lost?
Berry.
Far out.
Where would you rather?
Oh, he should be changing tyres at Tyre Mart. So Tommy Marquand all day, every day.
DK?
Well, I was just saying, what have you got the mail on the other rider there?
Zach?
Overseas rider, the kid having his first ride. If you had the mail there, if you got the mail.
I just I've got
some very good mail.
I've got a lunatic mate who's like loves racing. Like he makes me look like an apprentice where it comes to loving racing, because they take in all everywhere around the world. And I saw him write an absolutely glowing tweet about how good this young kid is, and how excited he is to see him out here. And I can only imagine that he'd be on the right path. I can't imagine that he's not a rising talent, considering what I read there.
Who's the rider for everyone?
B Lafayette or something, isn't he? He's a French kid, UK apprentice. They're saying he's the best apprentice in Statori. That's the mail. He's apprentice to John Gosden. He's only out here for a short time, then he's going back to Gosden for the European season. And then hopefully, I heard John O'Shea saying hopefully we'll get him back after that. But they're saying he's the best apprentice, UK apprentice in Statori.
You might have missed it as well. DK had been on the cruise, but B Preble has headed up to Sydney as well. So he's punching a few. I think he rode that horse beat King's Gambit the other day. So he looks like he's up there with Punting and 10 as well. So there's a bit happening in the City Jockeys room.
Benoit de la Sayette.
Has he got any good rides on Saturday?
Is he riding here?
Is he riding?
He's got one for O'Shea, hasn't he? O'Shea said it's time for him to. He's been riding trials or something. He's been here 5 or 6 weeks. So it's time for him to go to the races. He thinks he's got good enough handle on being able to ride against all those good jocks up there. And
5 or 6 with Johnny O'Shea. I hope he's had a helmet on. He might be concussed. He might not be able to ride on. He might be not able to ride on Saturday. But no, I love that sort of thing. Like any class riders and things that come out here, it's always fun, always exciting to try and line them up.
God, have you forgotten already? What was that? What was the rider that came in and rode the bloody Golden Eagle and was a car crash?
Yeah, that's beautiful. You just take sets against them. Why would you have Buick? Why would you worry about Dettori when he comes here? Why do you worry about who was the other little Brazilian fella?
Jamie Spencer from Gate 13. Well, Walt's call. It was Gate 13 around Rose Hill.
Tight Rose
What's
Hill.
he going to do? He's not God.
Good to have you back, DK.
That's right. Oh, he's lost his god horse too. That was a shame. Aussie's horse retired during the week.
Hitotsu.
Oh, Dotsu, yes.
That was a shame.
What a good horse he was.
Mm.
1,600 to 2,400.
Well, that's what you love, horses that can break, like you go back to mahogany days, horses that can do freakish things. You love to see them race, so it's a shame that we lost it.
Let's talk about Randwick race 2. It's the AC Securities Handicap. I thought that was Macy Securities when I first looked at it. Cosmic Minerva's favourite here, 340. Banana Queen 370. Lekvate is 750. Ella Tiama is $8. Festival Dancer $8.50. African Daisy $9.50. Yoshino $13. And that rounds it out. But Banana Queen was the one that you like, Walt. It's just in behind leader here with the yellow and the green limey sort of colour sleeves, and does nicely just to round this leader up and sort of kick away here.
I can only imagine that the price is just because this horse had the PR here, like the absolute perfect run, the like soft sections up in front, quickens off and doesn't go crazy the last 600 considering how slow they went the first part of the race, but I don't really see why this horse is $4. It goes up 2 kilos. It draws wide, which is perfect for me around Randwick. You want the inside draws around Rose Hill in that run. Randwick, it doesn't matter as much. It's now had the mile run under its belt. My only tiny query is a super strong mile, but it looks another race where I doubt they're going to go super fast. This horse should just cruise across from 9 and sit somewhere up near. I think there's a designated leader in Festival Dancer, most likely from 2 with Schumacher aboard. I thought it was potentially the danger just because it looks to get a comfortable lead. Festival Dancer and had one of those harder irregularities. They're something I struggle to get a handle on, but it's very unusual for those horses to not improve off those whatever they call them. What do they call the ECG or whatever they call? They bring the old
atrial and
atrial fibrillation or whatever it is. So
too
it's
soon.
6 starts, 4 wins over a mile. Festival Dancer, whereas Banana Queen, just a different horse. This prep loves the dry ground. Doesn't look like there's any rain around. She'll just sit in the first 3 or 4 and do a thing. And to me, it's one of those races where there's not a lot of depth behind that can overcome, any drama and run down Banana Queen. So a pretty straightforward race to me. The horse one of the horses I've been going back and forth with Joe Pride on Twitter is Lekvard. I think it's a really good 1,400 metre horse and just gets too far out of its ground over a mile, and I don't think it's a strong miler. It's the horse that I think is the best horse in the race, Lekvard, but I see it getting back towards last and doing the same thing it did last start against Banana Queen. So it's just weird. I just kept coming back to this horse and trying to mark it, longer than $2.50, and I really couldn't.
What if I told you that Gerald Ryan, 5th up's going at minus 40% pot?
Yeah, I'd say that's one of those statistics that I continue to see on Twitter that is absolutely irrelevant to life because whilst you take notice of it, then you test it against the horse in the race, and this horse has had 3, progressed through its preparation, had nice runs built off it, no signs of going backwards, all those things are worthy of interrogating individual situations more intensely if there's a warning sign, but I don't use them as gospel.
I just made that stat up, so I just completely plucked those figures
and
out.
I wouldn't be
surprised. A lot of
surprised
people think that Gerald Ryan
is an early prep trainer.
So is that possibly you're just betting whether this horse has just had enough? That was the point
I
was
would
trying
say
to
it's the PR thing and some sort of ratings thing, but I'd also say this horse will be well backed again. I don't see how it doesn't. I think there's $4-ish around. I don't see it like this. The African Daisy form line to me, which is what you're basically up against, the 2 form lines, Classic Minerva, African Daisy versus Banana Queen. I just think she's a bit stronger. So I think most people will come to my side, and I think they'll find Festival Dancer as the danger coming out of a different form line again, which is that Frumos Coal Crusher sort of form line, and back to Gypsy Goddess. I think it's probably the left fielder.
Good little saver. DK?
I was just saying those. I know you're having a laugh, but those prep stats, I have a look at a lot of that stuff, and they are relevant for first and say early in prep. They're not relevant once you get further in the prep, and you'll see a lot of trainers are completely legless first up and even second up, especially stables who buy more cheaper backward horses that take time. So they're just legless. And then I'm talking leg. I'm saying 2 from 60 first up, then 3 from 60 second up, and then third up they hit positive, 4th up they hit positive territory. stuff like that. So that's where it's interesting stuff.
A golden one that I probably shouldn't tell anyone. A number of syndication mobs who are obviously growing and becoming larger. Part of their how do you want to say it? Business model is not having horses sort of wound up early in their preparations. They want the horses racing more. They don't want them hard fit early. They want them to, have long extended preps if possible, because that's what they're selling. They're selling racing experiences and whatever. So
surely that goes to the trainer they give them to. Walt.
No, they're told how to prepare the horse.
Well, Mick Price, you wouldn't give a horse to Mick Price like that, would you?
Well, if
he's all ready to go first up, it wouldn't matter who he is.
That's what I mean. So that won't last long. So if I was punters out there, I'd keep an eye on not just trainers, but also common owners, because a lot of them like their horses prepared in a certain way. So, like you say, like Mick Price, it'd be interesting to see if they got a horse for, one of, ABC bloodstock, and if they prepare that horse a little bit differently to the rest, so I don't think even in this day and age, it's just about trainers. It's also about who owns them.
Fascinating. Good insight. I like that.
You like it?
Just another way to find a pattern to try and figure out what stables are doing. Love the angle. Eskimo Prince Stakes, the Fujitsu General Eskimo Prince. Good little sponsor there. AF Cabin's a favourite here, 195 at TopSport. Zoo Tiger, 330. Osipenko, 750. Sajardin, $13. Communist, 15. Wolverine, 26. And we won't mention the rest. The replay we're going to have a look at here. Interesting. AF Cabin's obviously guineas, and a lot of these horses are targeted guineas, but the horse that Walt likes here in the purple and the Waller racing sort of colours, coming to the outside, ridden upside down here this day. Osipenko, horse that you really liked. Well, hits the line nice here.
Yeah, it was a car crash, wasn't it? Its whole preparation last time. I think it ran behind, was it AF Cabin the day on that? Was it the day that the world ended? It just absolutely hosed down, wasn't it? So that was a forgiven. I think this was second up off that run. It was second up, was it? So, it was just an insane effort from a horse that's obviously got unlimited talent. I thought its trial was really good leading into this. AF Cabin was okay, sort of led, which is by default in a trial, and went okay. I struggle to get as horny a word that we're allowed to use on YouTube, horny about this horse as others are. And while I think he's a very good horse, we're just talking about stables. James Cummings is not going to have this horse at his top. I don't think Chris Waller's going to have Osipenko at his top either, but what I'm saying, I think they're both in the same level of vulnerability here. Zoo Tiger's most likely going to roll forward and get its chance. There's your Tommy Mark one. This is probably going to be his biggest test on Saturday. But I think this horse Osipenko on a dry track really has not been seen how good he is. And so for him to be $8, whereas AF Cabin's $2 and Zoo Tiger's $3.60, he's drawn inside. He's got the great man Nash aboard, who's overcome the arterial fibrillation himself. He's had it himself. I just see it's just a silly difference in price, and that's all it is. I don't think this horse is any good thing, but one of those horses in reflection, it could be. It could just explode. And this could be your favourite for Randwick Guineas and things like this after this run, potentially. I don't think that's impossible.
It's an interesting one with AF Cabin. There's a lot of hype. He's probably one of the most hyped horses, I'd say, in Australia. He threw the race away, I think, in the McNeil against Jacquino. Everyone's quick to... Well, there's a fair few people that were pretty happy to poo-poo Jacquino last Thursday. I think we even put out a tweet. We thought he did what he had to do, but... Gee, I tell you what, once they get a Godolphin, probably a wine Nico up here, as soon as they got the Godolphin blue colours, everyone just got like fawns over these horses and just...
And he has seen nothing but a heavy track, like a wet track as well.
Exactly, he could be just an out-and-out wet tracker, AF Cabin, but everyone just wants to go get some lotion and a warm towel and jump into bed with him. And the $1.95, Nico Noonan, I've just lobbed it up there for you.
Oh, I think he's a very good horse.
I've just pictured Nico with the warm towel and lying back.
He just wants it to be
and
animo.
Trav commentating it. I'm completely cast. You've just absolutely destroyed my day.
Don't know where to go from that, but I heard James Cummings say this horse could be the best horse in Godolphin at the moment. So they've obviously got a massive opinion of him. He's first up off the bleed, DK.
Oh,
so that's
there's another pearl.
That's
The pearls are coming thick and fast today. Punters are in for a treat. Watch this show today.
So
what do you do there as a trainer? You've got a horse that you want to win a Group 1 with this prep, obviously. He's a Stern colt and he's a bleeder. Holy shit. Like, what do? You like, if it was a different day, you'd nearly expect him to target a Group 1 sprint and have him hard ready to go. It's
Well,
isn't that
that's
dicey?
the issue, isn't it? You don't want him bleeding again.
No, but I didn't.
What do they do?
All over Red Rover.
I definitely hadn't factored that in, and it is a definite big factor in this race potentially.
I was watching his trial before. I thought he trialled terrific, coming away from him late. You know, the horses he's beaten that trial are Lasars, Silvantino, and Kin. They're all 1,000-metre horses, and he's cruising away from them late. Like, they should be trialling better than him, given he's probably a horse who's going to get over further. His last start win was as good a win as you'll see in that weird race, but he just absolutely killed him. And then, you know, the run price starts $2 against Jacquino, and he's probably not a 1,200-metre horse. We found out that day, but yeah, I've got a huge opinion of this horse. I backed him at 100 to 1 to win the Guineas last spring. So that watching that replay of the Guineas there, just it's been a tough show. Back Majorati the other day, and he's just got run down late with the tactics change. So I've watched a lot of sick beats here recently, but yeah, I think he could come out and brain these horses first up if he's cranked up and ready to go. I think he really could be a star. This horse, I'm hard in the camp.
Yeah, sounds like you're hard. Blue jacket.
He might be taking over Anamo's number one standpoint.
Just so predictable.
I tell you what, if you love that trial though, and Nick said they are 1,000-metre horses, but if you don't horn up about the second horses, the way the second horse went in that trial as a stablemate, you had the name of it. I don't.
Huskers.
Yeah, it looks like it's ready to go.
It's it from down here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember it.
He looks ready to go if he produces him in a nice little ordinary race up here at some point.
What about John Erishaw's horse, Zoo Tiger? Trialled decent enough for this?
It trialled, okay, but I thought Osipenko trialled better than it. They were very similar.
Osipenko's back to the inside and taking ground off it late.
Yeah.
I thought it was a much better trial visually, and through the line, he's pretty stronger.
Yeah, if it was Rose Hill, I think you'd be much more in the corner of Zoo Tiger just on circumstances. But I don't think this horse is slow, Osipenko. He just sort of was a victim of circumstance a bit there. You know, that he was third the fence. First up 1,400 on that diabolical track that day at Caulfield. I remember when JP rode him, he was sort of towing him behind him over 1,300. I could see this horse settling, you know, in the first four if they wanted it to very easily. And yeah, it's just, to me, it's just a wrong price, and we'll find out more about Af Cabin and on Saturday. And I think Zoo Tiger's probably the one that's got a limit on it, but he's probably, you know, better suited on Saturday than the other two colts. But I think they'll have the wood on him from then on.
Is it a case of Waller tries to pinch this one, get the horse's confidence back up?
How do you bloody know?
Back off and then rev him up again?
I don't think it matters. I just think the price is just wrong.
All right. So there's about $750 around.
I just want to get back to Horn. I just want to drag it back there. Back to, it's been mentioned. I mean, wasn't there a horse that won up your neck of the woods called Raging Pole or something like this?
No.
Didn't Mitch Matters just, it wasn't out of the jewel or something, and said, he gives one final thrust and gets there on the line, does Raging Pole. Is that right, Walt?
I sent him a message about 10 minutes before the race, and I'm like, I sent him, wouldn't it be lovely one last, because Timmy Clark hates it with a passion, one last thrust. He was doing it, he was sort of overdoing it a bit in Sydney in the late, and it was more to upset Tim, I think, than anything else. And he hadn't broken his one last thrust duck up here because the first few races, they were 4 or 5 length jobs. So I'm looking at it, and I don't know nothing about Raging Pole as a horse, but when you watch the replay, and you can half feel, I don't think he even wanted to give it, but it just worked out so well that he couldn't miss the opportunity. And the Raging Pole one last thrust. It was,
Inception. Once it's in his mind, it just
exactly. He couldn't avoid it. He had to say it. So it just, and you watch it. It's just whacked its way right down the outside. One last thrust and got the job done. The pole, but yeah, I'll forget its name from now on. But it was Mitch, he's a good fella, and it's good to see what they're doing up here with that track too. They've bit the bullet and finally spending some money. They're going to put the lights in, redo the track, and I think it'll end up, you know, in the top. Hopefully, if they do it correctly, it'll be one of the centres of racing for a long time to come, the Gold Coast. So I think he's made a good decision to come up here and be the voice of it.
DK will move up here next. Mark my words. Racingwatch.com.au for more of Johnny's stuff. He's got Telegram or Discord, so depending on how much noise you want, you can just get tips only, or you can get in there with the rabble that's in the Discord chat. There's so many very interesting characters, and it's very amusing. Hate your missus, make sure you jump into the Discord channel, because you might not have to talk to hate
you, if you're one of the two, whatever, if it's not already in there, some do go down the rabbit hole, there's no doubt, but everyone's, you know, in there trying to help each other. That's the main thing. No bad eggs.
All right, Eagle Farm. Let's have a quick look at Eagle Farm. I think it's a great betting card. I'm sure Donnie's going to push out a couple of tips for the syndicate. There's a horse I like here. I left it alone, just had a look at it last start, and that's the favourite here, Hang 5, $4 favourite. And Shea Goma's been the one they've backed, $9 out to $4.60. Tsarina Sophia, $5. Viminel is $10. Centre Bounce is $15. Let's have a look at Hang 5 first up here. I thought it was a really conservative ride. He just let the speed go early and then sort of just sat in behind and floated back, sort of like a Damian Lane style ride. He's in the the Hoisted colours with the black.
Is that Show of Goma behind it?
Yeah, Show of Goma's on the inside behind it, and it also finishes quite well, but it's now drawn barrier 14, and they both step up to the 1400. So this horse, you could tell the way that they rode Hang 5, it was definitely underdone in the black and the lime green there, and the form that beat it was the bursting Junquera form. Here you go, last preparation. You've got Tyressa back down on the fence here, and then Hang 5. Have a look at this. For about 300 metres in the straight, he just bumps into, I think a horse is called Dancing Queen or some sort of queen. She runs third and he runs second, but once he sort of finds clear air, he really extends through the line. So he actually should have gone really close to sort of knocking Tyressa off here, and Tyressa is obviously very strong form for a race like this. The rest of the market says the Toppy's a danger. Tsarina Sophia, she's got barrier 11 though, so big problems there. Has to sort of either bust her up early or be conservative. So this horse will either map better or get a better run in transit, Hang 5. And then Tsarina Sophia, big query at the 1400 metre mark, or the 1400 metre distance. And then you got Shea Goma, Jim Byrne, barrier 14. I think he's only got one option there, is to drag that horse right back. So if you like that horse and you've missed the $9, $4.60, you'll get you should get $7 or $8 about it. But I thought Hang 5 just gets its absolute chance in life to win this one on Saturday.
That horse Tsarina Sophia I know a bit about. So quite close with the Ryan camp at times. I can have good conversations with them. And this horse, it stepped to 12 last start. And I was a tiny bit concerned because it had won sort of bullishly over 1,000. Horses can do that. And going to 12. And I was like, what do you think, 12? And these guys live and breathe racing. Like they know everything about every one of their horses. Every horse that works at races, they miss nothing, this camp. They just love racing, which is why I love talking to them. And he's like, mate, this is just a stepping stone to 14. We think that she's crying out for it. And if you watch her, she's the sort of horse that does enough to win, but doesn't look like she's actually trying. She's a horse that looks like she's got, 3, 4, 5 lengths up her sleeve potentially that she's got there to unlock. So I'd be wary of Tsarina Sophia. And as I say, like the gate, I think is right. If you'd had a soft gate, I'd be saying you at least have to save on her just because she's a bit enigmatic. But I'd actually nearly say that it's worth saving on her, but I like your line of thinking, and I think Show of Goma is a massive risk.
Massive risk. It's just going to be miles back off him, and these two other horses, they'll be dueling it out for more up in front.
And it's hit the front in races where it should have put him away before Show of Goma, not done it. It's a horse that needs everything to fall its way, I think, to win races, whereas the other two, I think, one's enigmatic and the other one looks strong as an ox. So I'm with you.
And just looking for a wild card. A lot of these horses are just coming out of weak maidens, and they just look outclassed. So if the real Hang 5 is there, he should be winning. So big D-Day run for him. This is the time that you back him, and if he wins, you probably don't have to back him again, but this is his time to win. All right, Donnie's best. Let's go to Donnie. No good last week, but I think he'll bounce back here.
G'day, gents. Donnie's here again with this week's best bets. It's good to be back at Eagle Farm. Queensland's premier track's been racing fairly, so I think we can find a few winners. The best bet comes up in race 5, number 2, Buying Time. It's from the O'Dane Hoisted yard. It was first up 300 days last start. It was in second gear outside the lead. It didn't get let off the throttle the whole race. It's worth watching the replay. It reminds me a lot of Uncommon James, this horse. It's got a lot of improvement. Second up. It will settle probably 2 or 3 pairs back and it will be steaming home over the top and be going on to much better races. So pretty keen to back race 5, number 2, Buying Time. It's around $2.50 with TopSport. Good luck, gents.
It sounds a bit hoarse there, Donnie. You might need a bit of a let up. But he's gone for the O'Day and Hoisted yard also. So that's race 5, number 2. So definitely been fancied early, 260 to 235.
So it's strong. Yeah, I don't know much about those horses, but I know that stable was certainly airborne prior to the Magic Millions. I don't know if they're continuing on, but they're They're a good stable. He's very. All these horses seem to be strong, which is what I like about them. They're always pretty much line finders. They do something right.
The betting usually tells a story too. If they're smelly and unfancied, you can pretty much write them off, and they're just there for a bit of a look too, which is handy as a punter. TopSport Steamers. There was a few dirty placings last week, victim of circumstances in a couple of those races, but this week all the bets are at Randwick. Race 1, number 7, Porto Rossa, 300 at 16, now drifted out to $18, which is unusual. These usually all go off.
Yeah, it's not a straightforward 2-year-old race. They're sort of the second tier, I'd say, whereas last week we sort of saw most of the big guns come out. There's Sicilians in that race, which is interesting. Probably hasn't trialled, like a certainty, but I think it's a Gay Waterhouse bone and muscle job that'll run a big race for you. I couldn't get too excited about Porto Rossa, but I can see the angle, as in it's not a race that looks 2 or 3 chances. It looks like it's there for the taking if you've got a bit of ability.
And this one is race 5, number 10, and again. 500 at 11, now 850, Joe Pride, Jay Collett.
Another race that looks there for the taking. The horses had not much luck this prep. Last time he just sort of got dictated to from the gate that JP had to go back to last and ran into a decent horse in that S1. It was a really good ride from Chad Schofield that sort of was the difference between the two of them. I think this horse is definitely up to winning this race. Just needs a good ride, but I think Randwick's much more suitable than Canterbury for this horse.
This is one of DK's men trains this one. Race 6, number 8, Beaufort Park, 500 at 17, now 13. They've backed Sarbasan.
This race is like eminently winnable. I had a really good look at this race because nothing can really win. Who's the favourite?
Banju.
Yeah, so it's $2.20, and then you've got Salcombe in there.
$2.45.
Isn't it? I actually would probably wanted to talk to the boy. Isn't it Far Lap? Like I know it won that 2,600. Why isn't it $1.30 in this race if it's ready to go? I don't care if it's a mile, and I don't care if it's got to give 10 kilos to Banju, who we backed in highways. This horse is like Melbourne Cup favourite. Surely it just picks them up and carries them and on their back. Like it's just scary to me that something was heavily backed early in the market to beat it. That maybe there's
it's not ready.
Warning signs there, and then I could go looking for Beaufort Park because even though it had the dream run the other day, that was a silly price because Banju's he's an honest horse, but he's no star, and I think it's just the old 50.5 kilos that they're warming to. But surely Salcombe's a big chance of just picking these horses up and carrying them.
So did Timmy get the flick off Love Tap, or was he chosen to ride?
No, it's one of Gay's. I don't know, to be fair. I don't know, but if Love Tap's beating you probably need to give yourself an uppercut. Like if Love Tap's beats Salcombe, it's just you'd just take it straight to RACV and put it into the hospital.
What if Salcombe had came out of the Melbourne Cup and ran, say, top 5, which it perhaps could have done? Well, you're probably right. It starts.
Well, it got beaten in trial a long way the other day, but I think there was like a tearaway. I think they come home 9 above or something in the trial. Like they've ripped home. It's not as if this horse is going to take ground off group horse sprinters in a trial impressively. It was sort of pushed out a little bit, but this is a mile at Randwick. I can't see Waller sending it round for a barrier trial. I know it's not going to be ready, but I just don't care. The way it won that bloody race, the only time we saw it in the spring, good luck. Like I think, didn't it come off like 15 below there, Nico, and round them up? Like, no, it was a staying race, but surely that's good enough to win a mile race at Randwick.
It was a big win, wasn't it? And the market just said, yep, good horse. They were happy to keep him very short that day, even though there was some queries around his form. And I think he had some form around Secret State, who had the Deauville Legend form line, and he is $12 favourite for the Melbourne Cup. I was just looking with TopSport. Yeah. So he's one of the horses of the autumn, isn't he? He's a big watch for the rest of the autumn, like how well he goes on Saturday, and if they push on to a Sydney Cup, if they go Queen Elizabeth and try to keep his handicap rating down for a race like the Cup next year. A few heavy hitters in the ownership, DK's mates in there as well. So
yeah, he's one of Aussies, yep.
It's just, I love that it's come off a slow tempo to win that race. If they went 100 miles an hour in that race and they come home 10 below and you just say, oh, well, he's a whacker, but like he's done something nothing else in that race did, extended away from some pretty serious horses. Like if it was even 12 or 1400, you'd be worried. But a mile at Randwick, it's testing enough for me.
They might be factored in the weight, like he's got to give that Banju 8 kilos. First up?
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. I think it's people get excited about. And it's soft leader too. So, it ticks a lot of boxes and they probably put up a little bit the wrong price. But crikey, where they're going to end up in life, it's just nothing. I just see it as not like 9 kilos. I just don't care. When you've got that much class on a horse, I just don't care. If it's even 70% right and they care about this race, it's over.
No, it's got the Animo trial.
But what price is it? It's like $260 or something. Anyway, it's not as if you really care, but if you like it, I think it'll be winning. If they like it, it'll be winning. But if you like it,
He did trial pretty well. Animo. He looks like he's humming heading into this preparation. That was probably the best I've seen him trial.
Oh, here we
Captain
go.
or
That was
Animo?
great work. Animo.
Do you like watch them side by side? Just get them up on like two screens and just continually watch their trial over and over again with the warm towel. And no, we're going to go back there.
I only watched Daft Cabins this morning, to be fair, but I saw Animo's the other day on Twitter, and I thought, he's fine.
I'll have to make you a calendar. The 12 best shots of Animo, just so you put it up.
He hasn't been that good to me. I reckon I've only backed him twice, and he's won for me. I went to Sydney, and I had a huge crack at him in the Queen Elizabeth, and he ran last. And then, of course, Blue Diamond Day, so I've been head of the fan club, but I reckon there's plenty that have made more money out of him than me.
Might change the name of the show,
Funny how
the
that
Animo
happens.
Show.
It's funny how that happens with horses. I'd bet you so, like an aside, how well schooled J Mac is. So he wins on that thing militarised in like race 2 or something, Son of Done Deal, straight after the race, and it's like a China Horse Club. Well, this just got to remind you of Castelvecchio, hasn't it? The way he just ripped home down the outside, Son of Done Deal. It was like he worked for God. It was like he was interviewing the stud master.
Doesn't he? He is, though. He's the Coolmore.
He's the best.
Coolmore rider, though.
Yeah, but that's not. Oh, well, Castelvecchio. That's even better. I don't think Done Deal. I think Done Deal's Arrowfield. So he's talked about Castelvecchio, which is a Coolmore stallion. So he's even, and it had nothing to do with Castelvecchio, this horse. It was just by the same sire. He's the best I've ever seen. He's just a human bloody billboard.
I think it's time to wrap up the show. We're getting very wayward.
I love it. We've talked about a lot of weird shit that goes on in my brain today, and it's given people an insight to how wrong I am mentally.
All right, boys. Good luck back in booking the cruise, Nico. And make sure if you want Nico's stuff, $3.99 from now until the end of June. So you're mad if you don't take that one up. So better than $25 a week. You get a saving there. 22 weeks of absolute grouse. So good luck on Saturday out at Sandown. And DK, great to have you back. You're looking bloody terrific. You've already had a haircut. You've hit the ground running.
Yeah, no, I'm back, Scoot. Just as you know what happens when you go away, the boys, bit behind. So I'm buried in videos and stuff at the moment, trying to catch up. But no, great to be back.
Outstanding. All right, Walt. I'll see you the same time next week.
Yeah,
Get some vitamin D.
A couple of big bowling events between now and then. Some vitamin D, and I'll be back.
10-pin bowling.
Yeah.
There's no vitamin D in there, mate. That's indoors. Goodbye.